I'm Maggie.
I'm Taya.
I'm Eric.
And for our topic, we picked immigration because we think it's really relevant in today's political landscape. We think that it's important that a lot of times when we see stories about immigration in the news, we only get it through one lens, so we thought it would be interesting to analyze it through an environmental lens because that's Taya's major, and a philosophical ethical lens because I'm a philosophy major. So for the paragraph I worked predominantly on was the philosophy paragraph. So we broke it down into two moral frameworks that we wanted to analyze, which were libertarianism and Rawls theories. So first with libertarianism, what libertarianism believes is that as long as there are two consenting adults, we should be able to do anything we want. So under this framework, the government should only be there to enforce contracts. But then the second one we talk about is Rawls theories, which is that we should do as a society whatever benefits the least, or the people with the least amount of privilege, which we think in America especially is immigrants of minority populations because they often don't speak English and are much more likely to be abused by employers and other people who don't like them coming into the country. So, yeah.
And so with that, I took an environmental stance on it. And so it's a side that a lot of people don't really ever step back and think about because they really think more of like the economic status of it or how it's going to impact our government and whatnot. And so I did a little bit of research with it, and I came to find out that with immigrants coming here to the U.S., there's a lot of land that's kind of being overtaken or being considered to be used for housing for them or places for them to live or jobs and whatnot. And so there's acts like the National Environmental Policy Act, which is also known as NEPA, and then the Endangered Species Act, which are being not particularly looked at or kind of pushed to the side considering these issues. And so that was just really interesting to see how that's impacting those. And it's because when you're looking at housing and whatnot, you have to look at the land for it. And so when you look at the land for new housing developments or new workplaces and whatnot, there's a lot that you have to look into in order to be able to use that land. And these acts are kind of being pushed aside and not really considered, which is going against like their laws and regulations for each one. Then going along with that, I looked into how the environment of like their neighborhoods and schools and whatnot are completely different from if you're born in the U.S. or are from or have like the privilege of living here and like didn't have to work to be able to come here. Normally, if you're an immigrant, you're going to live in a lower income neighborhood, which kind of would be closer to more highways or factories or places that aren't exactly super friendly to live by and really create like a gross and kind of grungy area to live in. And so it's just really sad for them, and it's hard for them to be able to get out of that.
Sure. So for our third perspective, we did our service activity at Feeding Laramie Valley. They're an organization within Laramie that serves to kind of like grow food and vegetables to put on the plates of people who may not have easy access to consumables. So the work we did there, we were trying to clean up the garden to be ready to plant again for the next growing season. So the work that we did, we kind of cleared leaves and moved dirt and did similar things so that the actual plots were ready to be planted in again. From this, we sort of got a better perspective on the work that it takes to sort of help these people out and sort of the actions that, as a community, we might need to take to make things more accommodating for immigrants coming in and just impoverished people in general within the community. And this is something that we try and put together within our final here in a statement that if we want to come together to solve the issue of how we treat immigrants and how we deal with quote-unquote immigration problem in the U.S. right now, we sort of need to make changes as an individual, which will lead to a greater change as a world.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting seeing how immigration and like ideas related around it, how it's even impacting Laramie compared to like the whole U.S.
Something that we sort of looked at also was the borders we've established and how they're not really helpful to anything we're doing right now. and won't made sense for a developing country or something of the like. Now that we're already well established, these borders just kind of keep people out, and in a way, we're still growing, and we should try and encourage people to come to our land, experience the American dream, and really see what we have to offer.
And one thing that Feeding Laramie Valley does that we think is interesting is they don't ask any questions about like how much money you make or anything like that. Like anyone is able to sign up for their services. You just have to say how many people are in your household, and they'll give you as many fruits and vegetables as they can. So we think that by taking that approach and trying to help people regardless of what we think their problems are, then we can fix the problem, or like fix the problems that are not fix the problem of immigration, but fix the problems for people who are immigrants and like the hardships that they face.
Well, I think we got a response.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, oops. Hello. Oh, there we go.